Welcome, cricket fans of America. Joe Hickey here, your minor league cricket show Western Division correspondent. It's tempting, I think, and maybe even understandable, to view minor league cricket as either MLC's little brother or this thing that happens for 6 to 8 weeks every summer and then it's done. But these organizations are working 24/7, 365 to build cricket in America. And the team that's competing this month in the championships is but one part of that puzzle. To tell us what that looks like in one corner of America, I'm joined by two men that are going to give us a look beneath the hood at what their teams are doing in their Southern California communities. From the LA Lashings, Captain Abhimanyu Rajp.
Hey, Joe. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure to have you. And the San Diego Surf Riders skipper, Jaideep Reddy.
Hey, Joe. Again, thank you for having us tonight.
It's a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you, gentlemen. Now, obviously, if somebody's watching this interview, they've probably been bitten by the cricket bug themselves, but if they've been around long, they know this sport's foothold looks really different depending on where you are in the country. So I suppose we should start just by getting a brief overview of how cricket has grown in Southern California and what that landscape, what that ecosystem currently looks like.
Yeah, Joe, I think like you said, all the cricket audience has witnessed this over the last 2 to 3 years, especially since the advent of Major League Cricket and minor league cricket. Just the ecosystem of cricket in the U.S. has grown tremendously, right? We have Abhimanyu, who's played for the U.S. on the other side, and he's probably seen U.S. cricket grow right from his under-19 days. And I can vouch for that as well, being involved with cricket in the U.S. since 2007, 2008, since I moved from India to the U.S. And just to see how cricket's grown in the U.S. with the ability for youngsters, for cricketers of every skill level to have a place to grow in the game, to have a goal that they can envision, that they can play professional cricket, right? There never used to be an avenue like this before, right? When I first moved to the U.S., I was like, okay, I'm going to give up cricket, right? But I found out that there's local leagues here. But if you wanted to aspire to be a cricketer full-time or even to try and play cricket at a higher level, the only place that you could play is if you played for the U.S., if you're good enough to make it to the U.S. team, right? But now with minor league and major league, there's so many different avenues now for cricketers to aspire to, right? If you're good enough at the local league level, if you're good enough as a youth cricketer, now you have a roadmap, a pathway where you can play for your local franchise, right? Whether it's San Diego Surf Riders, the team that I represent, or LA Lashings, which Abhimanyu captains, and both of our franchises have done such a tremendous job in providing that roadmap, that pathway for youngsters and local cricketers, right? So that to me, the first step is just having that pathway for youngsters, for local cricketers to aspire to. I think cricket in the U.S. has come a long, long way. And my only hope is that it keeps going along and it keeps getting stronger and stronger. And MLC and especially minor league cricket goes from strength to strength, right? It's very, very important. I know a lot of cricketers and administrators lose focus in looking at the big picture and looking at professional cricketers, top tier, MLC, and all of that. It's great, right? But I always believe in a two-pronged approach in growing a game in a different country, especially in the U.S. It's a huge sports market. When I say two-pronged, I'm talking about bottom-up and top-down, right? Top-down is, of course, you need to have exposure for top-tier cricket in the U.S. And MLC is perfect for that, right? You have international cricketers, professional cricketers come to the U.S., spend a month, and again, there's a vision now for professional cricketers to get involved, right? It's great because there's publicity, there's visibility. The American audience now can see cricket on their television channels and sports networks, which is great, right? From an exposure perspective, ads, just commercial viability and stuff like that. But bottom up is equally important, right? When I say bottom up, you're looking at grassroots development. You're looking at schools and colleges having some sort of a cricketing ecosystem that's being nurtured, right? Local leagues, youth academies, stuff like that needs to be developed and grown at a local city, town level, which is very, very important. When that happens, now you're fostering a new generation of Americans and youth cricketers to again aspire to play at the pro level. So both approaches are important. So that's why I said MLC is important from a top down, and the World Cup being played in the US was a great just showcase of that. And then bottom up, which is youth cricketers and minor league cricket, which promotes under 19 level and local cricketers being able to have that avenue to play cricket. So again, my hope is we keep going from strength to strength, and we keep developing this ecosystem further.
Now, for sure, having something to get people dreaming to begin with that top-down approach, and then you've got to have an entry point. You've got to have a way to get yourself in there, to see yourself making the progress. You don't just jump from nothing up to that. And I think you're right too with minor league, the role we've seen in even the chemistry of the United States national team being bred through a lot of those games that we've seen in minor league. We've seen certain players, the likes of Shadley and Andres and Harmeet, who really bound themselves together on one of the minor league teams. And we've seen that carry through opportunities in major league and certainly on the USA team. So absolutely right. Abby, anything to specifically add to that?
Yeah, I mean, Los Angeles, like your question, I think, on what's been done over the last decade or so and how we've grown so far in cricket and grassroots level over here has just been tremendous. I started playing here in 2000. In the 25 or so change years that I've seen cricket happen here, we went from one organization in the Los Angeles area with 27 teams, 3 divisions. We used to play 16 games per year, and that would be it, a few tournaments here and there. Now we have about 5 or 6 different associations. We've got 50 teams in the largest association, and a total of more than 150 teams across the region, 1,500 actively playing amateur players, 500 active playing youth participants all across Los Angeles. And San Diego's had similar uptake in numbers in terms of over the years that we're talking about. So in terms of, like JD said, going from strength to strength, I think the SoCal region in its own aspect has gone in terms of quantity very heavily and just has quadrupled in its demand so far. So from a grassroots level, there's been just tremendous growth.
Yeah, it's something I've even seen as I've prepared for new teams with lots of youth players involved, the ability to go back and see in all of these various organizations the amount of cricket they're playing over the course of a year. Like you said, not the 16 games here and there scattered throughout, or maybe just a concentrated chunk of it and then you're done for a while. It's a very encouraging thing to keep that experience rolling, always getting a chance to learn. Towards that end, both of you talked a lot about that grassroots, that youth sort of investment. There are a number of minor league teams this year that have taken this sort of abbreviated 2024 season as a cue to accentuate youth development in their minor league teams. And neither of your teams are strangers to seeing young stars take up big roles. That kind of breakthrough doesn't happen overnight or by accident. How have your teams, the Lashings and the Surf Riders, engaged with the community to help foster that kind of youth talent and bring them up to your side?
Yeah, I'll start on that one first. So in terms of Los Angeles, there has been a real movement for the youth in the area. We've had a bunch of academies pop up over the last few years. That's been energizing the youth for a very long time now. We haven't had a lot of youth movement here locally ever since, I would say, the 2010 was probably the last time we had a specific youth involvement in terms of national recognitions. When we're talking about youth, we're always trying to see and engage youth from a perspective and a metric of how many of our youth are going towards the national games in terms of tournaments or national trials or getting their foot in the door to be looked at from national selectors, right? That's our gauge. I'd say over the 2010 eras, that gauge has significantly dwindled in terms of our participation from Los Angeles region. And there was a time when 5 to 6 players of the 19 team were from specifically Los Angeles region and the Southern California Cricket Association, where we all played. That is not the case anymore. And that goes internally to the impact that we haven't been able to have on the youth. We have not been able to instill a lot of movement in terms of youth league development, youth participation in teams, but there has been a tremendous uproar in getting the youth to be involved together within smaller academies. So we have had about 5 or 6 new academies crop up where participation levels are great. There's 50 to 200 kids in some academies, and they're doing an amazing job. Some local coaches are doing an amazing job. Some parents are doing an amazing job. A few of the coaches that are playing MLC are coaching here as well. They're doing an amazing job, but they don't really have a lot of avenues to grow. So how do we find cricketers? We just have to keep our eyes on the prize, right? Where do we see them? We're always at the grounds. Lashings, I'm always at the grounds, at multiple grounds. We try to be in front of the audience that we are going to have to play with one day, right? Or play for, or play within our teams. And we're trying to always look for who is standing out and the little resources that we're able to give them from whichever avenue those resources might be. So we're always in the nets looking at these youngsters and talking to these parents, talking to coaches, and trying to understand where they are in their cricket journeys and how serious they are. And when we find some potential, we try to give a little bit of fire to that cause always. And every season we've had kids that we don't necessarily think are going to make the 11 at any point. And that's been our go-to strategy from the get-go, that you don't have to have. That's why we haven't played a roster of 18, because you don't really need all the 18 players to perform. But in regions where you can take a few spots and just eliminate that fire a little bit to the performing students in the game at the lower level, it just helps the rest of the region that much more. And we try to do that every year. We have some great additions this year also. Last year we had Pranav. The year before that we had Rajveer. And these guys, I hope, will make back to the squad in domestic squads and in domestic spots, or if they're still on 19s, which a lot of them are, back in those spots. And we keep on fueling the fires of the other cricketers. And we have to do that in the region. And that comes at a cost of a few spots from the domestic side. But I think that's important for the youths to gain that experience, that ecosystem of understanding what high-level cricket actually means. Otherwise, they have zero visibility of what they need to do.
And Jaideep, with San Diego, what has that process looked like, trying to bring in the youth players and develop that sort of talent?
Yeah, from a youth cricket perspective, right? So San Diego historically has always been in the shadow of the LA cricket scene, right? And the franchise owners, the Surfriders franchise owners, especially Raj Ghai, Ganga, Sanjay, Jimmy, Ram, these guys have done such a tremendous job in developing cricket in San Diego, and especially youth cricket, even before minor league has started, right? I mean, we're talking about way back when I moved to San Diego in 2015, we had barely 10 youth cricketers. When I say youth, we're looking at under 19, right? Under 17 cricketers. Or maybe a handful more, but that's about it. And they used to come and join the adult practices and grow their game from there, but that's about it, right? But right around that time, San Diego Cricket Club, as the local cricket club is called, we started a youth program, specifically the SDCC-YA. YA stands for Youth Academy. And that program has grown from, like I said, just 10, 15 kids to more than 100 kids of various age groups, right? You're not just talking about the 14, 15, 16 age group. You're talking about under 8s, under 10s, under teens. And it's amazing to see just how the entire cricketing ecosystem, cricketing landscape within San Diego has grown, right? We didn't have a turf field. We didn't even have dedicated facilities, right? But now you come to Canyonside Park, which I'm sure you would have seen in the minor league games last year and the year before. That facility has become like the cricketing the epicenter of San Diego, right? We have outdoor batting cages, nets, 6 lanes now, right? Where you have adults as well as youth cricketers practice every single day, right? So we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday dedicated for youth cricketers, and then Tuesday, Thursday for adults. We have turf pitches, not just one, but we have 3 adjacent pitches at the central wicket, which is where we play our minor league fields, and we have outdoor practices over there. And coming to the franchise itself, the Surfriders, right? Like I said before, now there is a roadmap, a pathway for these youth cricketers to come and represent a local franchise, San Diego franchise. Before, they would rely on the SCCA, Southern California Youth Program, and if some kids were able to make it, they make it, right? But that's about it. That was what they had to rely on. But now there's a local league in San Diego There are our youth academy, but there's also other youth academy. There's cricket coaches. Marty Kane, who was the captain and coach for the Surf Riders for the last 3 years, he has his own academy, and he's done a great job in promoting and developing youth as well as women cricketers. I mean, you'll see social media full of posts in terms of how he trains these local youth programs. We have our current coach, Emmanuel Benjamin, who's flown in from Australia the last couple of years, and he is working with the youth cricketers. And he's doing such a tremendous job with both the adult and youth cricketers, dedicated cricket coach for the youth program as well as the adult cricketers. And he's been absolutely amazing, such an asset to the local community. And so many others. There's a local cricket store now that's opening up in San Diego. And I think the opening ceremony is this Thursday, right? I mean, you would never have even imagined that cricket would be so huge now. And I'm sure it's going to keep growing, right? And I give credit not just to, obviously, the owners and the local cricketers and so on and so forth, but also to MLC and minor league, right? Without that kind of vision and an opportunity for these cricketers to play, you would never have this whole ecosystem kind of rise and grow, right? And you'll see that keep expanding year on from here on out, right? So it's huge. And from our local team, obviously, it's important that we pick youth cricketers and we train. So not just the 18 that are part of the squad, but we have an extended training squad where we practice every week, about 25 of us, local cricketers that practice every week. And that includes a lot of youth cricketers, right? And Abhi mentioned the same thing. It's important for us to obviously groom them and train and give them the confidence, but it's also important to not give them a false message of saying, hey, just because you're youth, we're going to play you every game, right? I don't think that empowers them. That gives them a false sense of confidence, and we want to be careful in not doing that, right? We want to pick cricketers that are actually good enough, because then it sends the right message saying, hey, you need to work on these aspects of your game, and we have the coaches and we have the system in place for you to work on your game, right? So the past couple of years, we've seen a couple of youth cricketers done a great job in minor league. I mean, one of them, Devam Srivastava, I mean, he's been excellent, right? And he's an off spinner, and Abhi would appreciate this, who opens the bowling, and he's done a great job opening the bowling and bowling against Sami Aslam and Shehan Jayasuriya, guys who played international cricket and first class cricketers, and he's bowled amazingly against them with a great economy rate, picking up crucial wickets for us. It improved his game every year, right? So for us, it's great to see such youth cricketers improving every year. We also have one more thing that I failed to mention is we have a huge Afghan refugee community in San Diego, and we have a youth program and dedicated facilities that we have helped develop for the Afghan community. And when you see these cricketers, and all of them are under 17, right? You have 14, 15, 16-year-olds. I mean, the kind of raw talent that they possess, it's just amazing to see. And I can guarantee you'll see some of them play for the Surf Riders or perhaps even the U.S. in the next 2 or 3 years. I can absolutely guarantee. We have a youth cricketer, Javed Zadran, who's playing this year. Raw talent. He's amazing. He's played a few tournaments for SCCA, and SCCA won a local championship, and he's performed really well in that tournament. We had the SCCA Premier League where Surf Riders actually represented in the tournament, and we won the championship. And guys like him and other cricketers like him, youth cricketers, have done such a great job. So really promising, and I'm looking forward to see how these cricketers grow.
Well, and I think particularly, as you said, the youth cricketers getting that shot at competing either with each other or with these world-class talents, it continues that pipeline. One youth player lets another one dream a little bit. Really an important thing to keep that line moving. You both talked a bit about both challenges and issues where the connection hasn't been there, and then some successes. I am curious, both for trying to overcome those issues and, for that matter, leading to some of these successes, what sort of other partnerships or initiatives you'd like to discuss that the Lashings or the Surf Riders have engaged in? I think we heard about a fair handful of them from Jaideep. Abhimanyu, in LA, who have you been able to partner with? What sort of initiatives have you gotten rolling with the Lashings?
Thank you for that question, Joe. Yeah, so ever since Los Angeles Lashings has been in existence, we've also been working on a nonprofit called Los Angeles Cricket. And Los Angeles Cricket has been working with the city over the last 4 or 5 years and other organizations that are stakeholders in Los Angeles to identify places where we'll be able to put new resources for the game. new fields, as well as propping up the current fields into better positions, or looking at fields that we're currently working with in terms of city permitting. And just recently, we got the permits to the Super Whale Basin Cricket Complex or Woodley Park to operate our youth programs during the weekdays. And that's been tremendous success. It's one of the ways for us to be able to provide actual turf facilities, which the kids sadly don't really have access to. Like I said, mentioned just recently, we've had such tremendous growth in the adult side of cricket in the amateur section. But if you look at the youth side of it, it hasn't grown at all in terms of representation in these leagues. Right now, the leagues are adult leagues. That's how they are classified by legality in terms of parks and recs. And there aren't any youth leagues that are present in the Los Angeles area. So we're trying to change that. We're trying to change that with our programs. We're trying to change that with our summer programs. And we're trying to get kids onto the fields during weekdays. I think that's been our number one criteria in terms of really expanding the game. We have been, as a nation, been a weekend nation in terms of cricket. And we have to change that. We have to challenge that thought. Rightfully, if our intent is to become a powerhouse in the game. And one of the ways that we can do that is by making sure that we provide the facilities to our young during the weekdays. The kids are doing nothing after school. So if field is available, especially a turf, and it can be played on, let's try to do everything that we can and make that field available. So that's been our core principle in terms of going out to the city and working with them to getting these permits and other facilities. And we've been able to have a lot of success in that of late. And that's been also the number one challenge. You speak of challenges, right? Our challenge is infrastructure and resources as our number one challenge. And how else do we expect to grow the game? Youth development is the key to success, and quality development is an even better way of trying to put that. Because right now we are trying to get a lot of quantity. There's a lot of youth athletes being propped up, and they're doing a tremendous job. We need to give them access to facilities, to turf facilities where they can actually train the next generation of cricketers onto actual fields. And especially in Los Angeles, this is possible beyond any doubt, beyond any challenges in terms of weather, in terms of facility. If anywhere in the world it's possible in Los Angeles. So that's one thing that we know when put the right resources, the right minds together, infrastructure and resources will come together for LA cricket to just blossom. Other challenges that we have are just girls and women. We have zero involvement from girls and women. Very few. I mean, zero would be an overstatement, I guess. But in terms of where we want to see them, it feels like there's nothing here. And that's, again, going back to the same point on resources. We don't even have proper bathrooms at these facilities that we're expecting all genders to play on, and especially the youth. And it's challenging for parents to leave their kids at a facility where there's not proper resources for them to be able to just have a good time at a field. And that's been challenging for us. We speak on those kinds of issues with the city. We want to expand the programs that we currently are offering through, whether it is through our programs or our affiliated academies. Los Angeles Cricket has recently also affiliated with a few academies in terms of getting these academies some more pitch time. We recently had exhibition games for the youth league for the youth league to start next year, and for that we had the Tigers, a lot of kids from the Woodley Tigers and the team from the Tigers. We had a team from California Cricket League Stars, their youth segment represented as well. So we had a good influx of cricketers coming in, and we hope the rest of the academies also come in when we do the full all league next year. But challenges are time on the field, participation of the youth. Those are number one challenges that we are seeing. The rest is, I'd say, it's community, right? That's the last challenge that I'll mention. There are folks out there like myself, like JD, like other owners, like other academy runners that are out there. They're trying to do everything by going to their respective cities and asking for space. We're not saying that Los Angeles Cricket is not the only one going out there and speaking with city officials or Parks and Rec, and there's plethora of us trying to do this, and for the right reasons. And I'm so thankful for everyone who is doing all of this. One thing that we also want to change is community attitude. Our community attitude currently is very adult, recreational league based. We tend to have a lot of family and friends atmosphere into our leagues. And it's an amateur league, it's amateur sport, and that comes with the territory. But for the development of the youth, that's probably a harmful effect. We should be focusing a bit more on professional development of the youth from expressing how the youth should be participating in leagues. What I mean by that is, for example, over the last 25 years, like I said, the amount of teams have doubled in terms of just local participation in one organization, SCCA, and probably went 3 or 4 times in total participation. Whereas the youth teams, there are none, right? There's 1, 2 youth teams being represented, and that's a lot of kids not having the opportunity to express themselves, learn the game, understand the game. And the cricket attitude of the community needs to change a bit more towards helping any academy that is out there, any which way to find time on the pitch.
A lot of work being done, a lot of work left to do, of course, though.
Yeah.
And, of course, a lot of that work has as its aim a goal coming up in about 4 years. I would imagine one of the talks of the LA cricket community and SoCal cricket community in general is the presence of cricket in LA 28. To what extent are the Lashings and Los Angeles cricket engaging with that upcoming event?
Yeah, no, great question. That's been the talk of the town, isn't it? Los Angeles is going to be hosting the 2028 Olympics, and cricket's going to be played here at home. So we're all very excited for it, and lots to be done in that area as well, I believe. And we have been actively engaging with all the different organizations that are representing cricket at the Olympics. So we're currently actively working with Knight Riders organization and MiLC, working with the city of LA, Los Angeles Sports Council. We're working very directly with the Parks and Rec and the mayor's office in terms of trying to understand what avenues there are for grassroots organizations to prop up until to tee up LA 2028. And as you can see, we're engaged in many different aspects, and our aim is just for cricket to have some kind of similar impact that soccer saw. Obviously, in terms of soccer saw after the last World Cup was held in Los Angeles, and that has a lot to do with resources and infrastructure that was built up for the game at the time. So currently, there's a lot of organizations trying to see where and when and how cricket will be happening in Los Angeles 2028, and we're right next to them trying to make that happen and trying to make sure that it stays in Los Angeles as well.
All right. Well, we've gotten a good look at kind of the work going on underneath the surface at this point. Of course, the surface level work, the stuff that is live streamed on YouTube, sometimes with my voice involved, is just about to get started down at Woodley Park for your 2 teams. The Bay Area sides have gotten their season underway the last 2 weekends. San Diego, Seattle, and LA get rolling down at Woodley this coming weekend. So before we part ways here, I'd love to just hear your elevator pitch. What is it that is the most exciting thing that you think fans are going to want to tune in to see when the Surf Riders and the Lashings take the field? We'll go ahead and start with Jaideep and San Diego.
All right. Hey, thanks, Joe. Yeah, I personally am excited for the season to start. Like you said, we have our first game coming up this Friday at Woodley Park. Look, the San Diego Surf Riders, if you've noticed, if you've watched us for the last 3 seasons, the one thing that has stood out from our perspective has been our team usually doesn't have any big names. We don't have any superstars, but the camaraderie, the energy that we have displayed on the field, especially the fielding, the intensity that we play our cricket with, I think that's what has stood out. And I don't think this season's going to be any exception. We've made all efforts. The advantage that we have is we train every single week, Tuesday, Thursday, batting, bowling. So that to me is going to be something, just the way we express ourselves on the field, throwing ourselves around, the energy, the dynamism. That's something that the previous cricketers who represented San Diego have done, and we are no exception. But to add to that, I truly believe this season we have great balance and depth in our squad. We have Umar Akmal, international Pakistani cricketer, who's playing for us this year. The experience and the class that he possesses, I think that's going to bring a great difference, we're hoping. And a lot of really exceptionally talented cricketers from the Bay Area, from Southern California, obviously from local San Diego, the youth cricketers. I mentioned a couple of them, Javed Zadran, tearaway 19-year-old Afghani pacer. Devam Srivastava. He has 3 seasons behind him now. So looking forward to what he can do in his this year. And Skanda Sharma, who's played for the Lashings a couple of years back, but has truly grown in his game and just the amount of runs he's scoring locally in different tournaments, as well as for the San Diego Cricket Club this year, under pressure, some vital knocks. I'm excited to see what he has under his belt with the experience that he has taken from previous years and local cricket, right? So again, I mean, I'm excited myself. Until we play our first game, we won't know, how we gel together as a team, but I'm hoping that we do our best. We bring our brand of cricket, which is that the explosiveness, the energy, the intensity. We keep that the same, but we do better than the previous seasons, right? We've always been the middle of the table, bottom of the table kind of team, but I'm really hoping that we put on a good show this year and people come and cheer for us, for the youth cricketers, for a couple of international cricketers that we have, Nikhil Datta and Ruvindu from Canada, who are going to bring in some experience of their own and add value to the team, right? So we have a blend of everything: youth, experienced cricketers who've played for the franchise locally. Let's see what we have to offer.
Well, it's amazing too. You mentioned somebody like Devam, who how old is Devam at this point?
He's 19 now.
So somebody of that age with already, like you said, 2 or 3 years of experience behind them, a senior cricketer already at that age for a club is just unbelievable. And we've seen a little bit of that up here with the likes of Sanjay and Vatsal on teams up in the Bay Area as well. It's really an exciting thing to see them come into their own. And I don't think the camera was on me when you were talking about the defensive intensity of your team in the field. I was nodding very, very hard in response to that. Got an eyeful of it on several occasions. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, AB Reddy basically made the MiLC best 11, or maybe was in there as the 12th man, almost entirely on the basis of fielding prowess. And you just don't generally see a lot of that, but made such a statement, and wasn't the only one from San Diego that was doing that sort of thing, but was clearly a flag bearer for that sort of spirit, it seemed.
Absolutely. I mean, he was great. He's one of our local superstars. And look, I know cricket can be a skill-based game where you obviously have to have technique and hand-eye coordination from a batting perspective, athleticism and fast twitch fibers, whatever you want to call it, for fast bowling, and skill from a spinner's perspective. But one thing that to me is a non-negotiable, and a lot of teams go with that vision, is what do you bring to the field, right? It's just, that's non-negotiable. You bring in the energy, you bring in the intent to want to stop the ball, to want to put your body on the line. And I think overall, that's one thing I think that we've stood out in, is just the fielding and the intensity that we display on the field, right? We go back after the match is done, win or lose, at least we have our heads held high, saying, hey, we've given it our best. We've put our bodies on the line. We've done everything that we possibly can on the field for the team, right? And I think this year is going to be no exception.
All right. Here. And for the men in purple, Abby, what can we look forward to here with the Lashings?
Yeah, Lashings 2024 looking exciting, man. We've got a short season this year, and we've got some return from last year and a lot of new faces, right? So we've got our veterans, a few of our veterans coming back in terms of Christian Kalichuran, Harpreet, and Elmore, and the young sensation, Ayan Desai, who took MiLC by storm, right? So that's one of our youth prodigies there that we've made sure that we keep in our squad. He's been amazing with the squad, and Harpreet's been elevated over to vice captaincy position. He's raring to go, making important key decisions during the games, and the rest is a very new look squad. So we've got a few imports coming in from India, as well as from Team Oman in Surabaya, as well as Arthur and Gujral coming in from India recently, and the rest of the squad is all domestic. We've heavily been a squad that usually relies on our domestic prowess, and that's what we're going with again this season. A lot of youngsters in the squad as well that we're looking forward to seeing and how they come across. A lot of them are going to get an opportunity in the playing 11 this year because of how quickly the season's going to be coming up against us, and how quickly it's going to go away. So lots of rotations in terms of playing 11s, and lots of different combinations that we can try. It's an exciting squad. We've got a bunch of everything. Good pace attack with Neeraj coming in from the Grizzlies, and then we've got Cody coming in the squad as a senior man, somebody who's played around 100 plus fast games as well. So we've got some great talent in the squad. On the youngster side, we also have Ruben Reina, who did amazingly for us last year and is back with the squad. And he's one of our key men to be preparing our spin attack. So all around, it's a great squad. I'm looking forward to leading the men on the field and having a good time. Give it everything that we can and leave it out on the field for us to make a championship run this year.
Yeah, certainly a club that I thought when I looked at what was being done in the draft was addressing some of the things that may have gotten in the way as the Lashings were hanging in games against very high-level opposition throughout the season, but maybe just struggling to find that last little cutting edge that would put them over the top. I think there's a lot to like about the way that squad's put together. So yeah, similarly, looking forward to seeing it in action.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good year. We've had a good squad, exciting one. Like JD said, we also come in with everything leaving on the field, and let's see what the great gods have the rest in their mind.
Well, it'll be coming fast and furious. It's 4 days of nonstop action as the Western Division descends en masse upon Van Nuys from Friday the 13th through Monday the 16th. And of course, you can watch it all here on the MiLC network. Gentlemen, again, thank you for taking the time to share your journey, your dreams, and your triumphs here in this important work to grow cricket in America, and particularly in Southern California. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Joe.